Alright, today we're going to be talking about using multiplication and division of whole numbers to solve problems. For the vocabulary we'll be talking about, our first word is quotient. A quotient is the answer to a division problem. So if we are dividing 2 into 4, we know that 2 will go into 4 2 times evenly. So our quotient would be 2, the answer. The next word is dividend. The dividend is the number that will be divided into. So if we have 2 goes into 4, how many times again, we know that our dividend is going to be the number 4 because it is the number we are dividing into. Next we have divisor. The divisor is the number which divides the other number. So if we have 2 will go into 4, how many times? We know that our divisor is going to be the 2 because it is the number that is going to divide into 4. Some words you may see in division word problems would include share, split, break up, half, separate, divided by, divided into, cut into, per, each, dividend, and divisor. A couple of the operation signs that you may see would be our traditional division sign, and you may also see problems written as a fraction. So if I had 2 over 4, that fraction bar serves as a division sign. Now we are going to talk about the steps involved when solving one of these problems that are a division problem. So you're going to see on your notes where it says finding the quotient. So in order to find the quotient, our first step is going to be to look at the first digit, and that first digit is going to be the dividend. So in the blank, write dividend. And it's going to be divided by the other word we talked about, the divisor. And next we know that the whole number result is going to be placed at the top of the house, which we will be talking about in a couple of minutes when we work out some examples. Now our next step is going to be that the answer from the first operation is going to be multiplied and it's going to be multiplied by the divisor. Then we're going to place the result under the dividend and subtract. Followed by repeating the steps until we have no remainder. When you have a remainder of 0, we know that we are finished with the problem and that you have your quotient. So our first example gives us 144 divided by 12. We know that the first number listed is always going to be our dividend. So 144 is our dividend in this case. And we're going to divide it by 12, which is our divisor. So the second number is going to be your divisor. Now, when we divide, we set it up using the house. And we like to put the dividend in the inside always. So we're going to put our 144 inside the house. And we're going to place the 12 outside. And we know that 12 will not divide into 1, so we can put a 0 here as a placeholder and move on to our next number. 12 will go into 14 one time, so we're going to do 1 times 12 is 12 and subtract it. That gives us 2 left over. And we know that 12 will not go into 2. Since it will not, we're going to bring down our next number. And we know that 12 will go into 24 twice. 2 times 12 is 24, which means our remainder is 0. If you look back up at your steps to solve, you'll see that you know your problem solved when you have no remainder. So this means that the quotient of 144 divided by 12 is 12. So give the next one a try. 425 divided by 25, and then we'll check it. Alright, so for the next problem, you know that 425 is the first number, which we know goes inside the house. So let's go ahead and put 425 here. And we are going to divide 25 into it. So taking a look at that, we know that 25 will not go into 4. So we're going to put a 0 as a placeholder here. And 25 will go into 42. It goes in one time. So we're going to take away that 25. We can't take 5 away from 2, so we know that we have to borrow. And we have 7 left over. And 1 left over. We know that 25 will not go into 17, so we're going to drop that 5 down. And we know that 25 will go into 175 7 times, which leaves us with the remainder of 0. We know when we hit that remainder of 0, we then have our quotient. So the quotient of 425 divided by 25 is going to be 17. Now let's give some word problems a try. So skip down to the portion of your paper that has the word problems on it. The first word problem says that Linda bought 2 blouses for a total of $52 and 3 equally priced dresses. She spent a total of $148, not including tax. Find the price of each dress. So the first thing we want to look at is what this problem wants us to solve. And in this case, it wants us to find the price of each dress. So we can then mark our keywords here. In this case, we see that Linda bought 2 blouses, and the blouses were a total of $52, and she bought 3 equally priced dresses, and for her total bill, she spent $148. That's not including tax. Oftentimes when you see tax mentioned in a problem, it's just extra information, so we're going to mark that out here. And then they want us to find the price of each dress, the keyword there being each. So when you see the words equally and each in a problem, we know that we're going to divide at some point. In this case, we know that we want to find the price of the dresses. So the first thing we need to do is take our total amount, $148, and I'm going to label so that I remember what this number stands for. And we need to take away the amount that the blouses cost because we're not solving for the blouses. So in this case, we are going to take away the $52 that she spent on the blouses. And we're going to label it. And solve. So we know that 8 minus 2 is 6. And then we're going to borrow here. And we know that 14 minus 5 is 9. So we now have $96 left over that she spent on the dresses. But if we look at our problem, we know that we want to know the price of each dress, not all the dresses. So that word each tells us that we are going to divide. We've got 96 total dollars, and we've got 3 equally priced dresses. So we know that 3 will go into 9 3 times. And 3 times 3 is 9. So we're going to drop that 6 down. And 3 will go into 6 2 times. Since our remainder is 0, we know that the answer here, our quotient, is going to be our answer. So we know that each of those dresses cost $32. So we are going to write down $32 each. And that would be our quotient. So for the next problem that we are going to look at, it says that David purchased a computer for $1,920, including tax. If he pays for it in 16 equal payments, what will the dollar amount for each payment be? So first, we need to identify what we are solving for. In this case, they are asking us, what will be the dollar amount for each payment? Then we know that we must mark our keywords. We know that he purchased the computer for a total of $1,920. And we just said anytime tax is mentioned, we can go ahead and just mark that out since it is extra. And we know that he is paying for the computer in 16 equal payments, meaning they're all the same. And we want to know the dollar amount for each payment. In the previous example, we mentioned that when we have equal and each together in a problem, we know that we're immediately going to divide. So we're going to put our total amount of money in the inside of the house and our amount of payments, 16, on the outside. So we know that 16 will go into 19 one time, so we need to take it away, which gives us 3 left over. 16 won't go into 3, so we're going to drop down that 2. And we know that 16 will go into 32 twice. So 2 times 16 is 32. Now, I know that we see a 0 here, but we still have a number left over in our total amount he paid for the computer, so we must drop that last 0 down. And we know that 16 will not go into 0 anytime, so we put a 0 at the top. Now we see that we have a remainder of 0. So, knowing that our remainder is 0, we know that our quotient is 120, meaning that each month he paid $120. So we're going to say $120 for each payment is our answer. Now, I'd like you to visit the Moodle and journal the summary for your notes.